Hey guys, I've been wanting to share my birth story with you all. We had a home birth, and we've had a lot of people ask how our experience went, so I wanted to share that with you guys, and here it is. So, in planning for the home birth, my husband and I both read some material. I read Ina May Gaskin's Guide to Childbirth, which was super informational. She talks about how the woman's body was made to carry the child and deliver the child naturally, and you shouldn't have to have any intervention. Now, I know in some cases that some women have health risks and need to be hospitalized, and if you ever feel like you would never be comfortable at home having a child, then the best place for you to do it is in the hospital or wherever you feel the most comfortable. And we were trying to take her advice as well. Eating healthy. I was trying to exercise still, taking a multivitamin, and making sure I was drinking enough water. So, anyways, my husband read a husband-coached childbirth, and I think that it kind of helped to prepare him a little bit about what was about to happen with the birth. He read a husband-coached childbirth, and I feel like that it was helpful to prepare him just a little bit for what was about to go down. I wanted to be in the house because honestly, I just don't like hospitals. I feel most comfortable at home, and as long as my body, I was keeping it healthy and stuff, I felt like that was something that would be best for me and for my baby and for my husband. We went to all of our midwife appointments. She each time would do an ultrasound. We had blood work done, pretty much everything that you would do in a doctor's office setting, and she was great. She answered any questions that I had recommendations, if I had any trouble, like with the nausea and acid reflux and stuff like that. She would start out with a natural recommendation, and if that didn't work, she would kind of go up to whatever she felt would be necessary. What are you doing, doggy? Anyways, she would give us what she felt was necessary to help me out. She wasn't against medication, but we tried to go the natural way, if at all possible. So we got everything ready. I got the nursery ready and all that stuff. Everything was still looking good. I had to wait until I was at least 37 weeks to have her home. So my sister and my mom actually went into labor a lot earlier. Well, my sister was at 35 weeks and my mom was at 36 weeks. So I was praying that she didn't come any earlier than 37 weeks, because I still wanted to have her at home. So we were getting everything ready. We got our birth kit, everything prepared. I got my house cleaned, that spurt of energy that every woman talks about before they go into labor. And on Wednesday, which was 4 days before I delivered her, I went to my midwife, and I had lost my mucus plug the day before. And the only reason I knew about that is because I had read about kind of what that was. And when I lost it, I was like, oh my gosh, does this mean that I'm going to have a baby soon? I didn't know. So we went to the midwife the next day, and she asked me if I wanted to be checked. And I wasn't really sure if I wanted to or not, but decided to go ahead and let her do that. So she asked me if I wanted to be checked, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to do that or not. my best friend was with me, and she's like, yeah, you want to see if you've progressed anymore. So she checked me, and she said I was in between a 2 and a 3 as far as dilation, and I was 100% effaced. So she said, I wouldn't be surprised if you went into labor in the next 24 to 48 hours. She said, go home and get some rest, try to rest as much as possible, eat and drink plenty of water, and just kind of let me know if anything happens. So at this time, I still wasn't having any contractions. I was really shocked that I was at a 2, that I was already dilated, and that I was already 100% effaced, and I hadn't had any contractions, not really felt any pain. And I was like, man, if this is how it's going to go, this is going to be easy. So anyways, on Wednesday was actually the day before Thanksgiving, and on Thanksgiving Day, Brian and I just kind of relaxed and stuff. We didn't have any family get-togethers because my family wanted to do it the next day, and so we kind of just laid around, and I started having like mild contractions, but nothing consistent and not very painful. So on Friday during our Thanksgiving, I was having them, but they were pretty far apart and not something that I couldn't walk or talk through. And we decided to go for a walk, and then I went home that night, and we kind of just took a shower, got ready for bed. I was laying in bed, and I was like, I can't sleep. So I got up, and I went to the couch, and I started having some contractions, but still not too bad. And so I ended up falling asleep on the couch, and got woke up in the middle of the night with contractions that were, 7 or 8 minutes apart, and decided to call the midwife. And she said, I want consistent contractions that are like 5 minutes apart. She said, just wait until then before you call back. And so I was like, okay. I was able to fall asleep eventually for a couple of hours, and then I would get back up and try to breathe through these contractions, took a bath, everything that I could do to try to get some rest. And ended up not really ever having consistent contractions enough to call the midwife back. So Saturday, decided to just kind of hang around the house. We didn't do much. Just kind of cleaning, relaxing, not doing too much. And we were actually going to go to our downtown Christmas, and I was kind of bummed because I'd missed it for the last 3 years. We'd always been in Indiana, which is where my husband's family is from. And so when we were going to be here this year, I was like, oh, this is exciting. I get to go back down to downtown Christmas. So I get ready. I'm about to walk out the door, probably about 10 minutes before we walk out the door, and I have like contractions that are pretty rough. I'm having to like lean over for and kind of hold off on, and they were 5 minutes apart. I was like, okay, maybe it's not a good idea that we go downtown. And so I decided to take a hot shower and just kind of see how things went. And my best friend and my mom were both texting me, wanting to know if anything had progressed or anything. And just kind of like, we have contractions, but they're not really consistent. So about 8 o'clock that night, I decided to go ahead and call the midwife, or I texted her and kind of let her know what was going on. My contractions were about 6 minutes apart, and they were pretty painful. I was having to kind of breathe through them and, focus on getting through them versus just letting them happen. So she lets me know that she's just going to come and see what's kind of going on, to come to the house. And in the meantime, I was bouncing on a birth ball, trying to get consistent contractions, quicker than 6 to 7 minutes apart, because I didn't feel like if they were that far apart that they would be doing anything. So I would bounce until a contraction would come on, then I would get off and get on my hands and knees, and my husband would push on my hips so that it would be a little bit more, I guess, less painful. Something that I could manage a little bit better. And in the meantime, my best friend arrived and my mom arrived. My best friend was going to take pictures, and I was hoping that my mom would be able to take some video, but it ended up not working out that way. So I think she got a few videos, but not as much as we were planning for. They arrived, and I was just going through some contractions, and Debbie, the midwife, arrived around a little after 9. And she just listened to the baby's heartbeat, wanted to know how the baby was doing, if the baby was in any stress or anything like that. And she said the baby's heartbeat sounded good. She would listen to it while I was in a contraction, and then shortly afterwards. She did that throughout 3 or 4 contractions, and then asked me if I wanted to be checked again. And being checked is kind of painful, so I wasn't really sure, but I agreed to let her check me. And when she checked me, I was actually 6 centimeters dilated. So she said, "All right, we're having a baby tonight," and went and started unloading all her stuff, all the tools and all the birth equipment that we needed to have in order to deliver this baby. And I was just going through, trying to work my way through each contraction and kind of breathe. And by this time, I was pretty tired. I was, I'd been up a lot the night before with contractions and hadn't really been able to sleep that day. I'd rested and laid down, but not really actually gotten any sleep. So I was starting to get tired, and through each contraction, I would just close my eyes and kind of lay down. And I found that kind of doing a moan during each contraction kind of helped me get through the contraction, which is something I had learned through the books that I had read that would help. So I was doing that, and we were back in my bedroom, which is where we decided to deliver her at, and they were filling up the pool. So I was really anxious to get inside the pool. They fill it up with really warm water, and when I got in, it was like so much relief with the contractions.
I don't know what it's been.
So much better. It could stand to be about 4 degrees hotter.
That's what I thought too.
But it's warm. It's really warm. And I was able to just cope with them a little bit more. I never really felt like the contractions got so bad that I couldn't handle it. Like, if I had been in a hospital and had the exact same experience with the contractions and been able to get in the water and stuff, I really don't feel like I would have asked for an epidural, because the pain never got so bad that I couldn't handle it. And I was able to sleep in the middle or in between contractions. It really didn't feel like I was in the pool that long, but I was in there for probably about 3 hours, I think. Something like that. My husband said a really long time. So, and I started pushing in the pool. And I really wanted to have a water birth. So I was trying to get into a position that I felt like I could make some progress in the pool. So I ended up turning over from just laying down to on my knees and kind of like hanging over the side of the pool. And I ended up during the transition, I got really nauseous and ended up throwing up, which was terrible during it, but afterwards I felt so much better. And I would get hot, and then I would get cold, and so they were putting cold rags on me or warming up the water and just trying to keep me comfortable as much as possible. And I felt my water break in the water. I was kind of pushing. It was a contraction. It was kind of like, starting to feel like I needed to bear down just a little bit. And I felt like a pop. And the only reason I knew that was my water was because I had read about it in the books that I was using to prepare myself. So I told my midwife, I said, I think my water just broke. And she said, yes. She said, the last time I checked you, it was bulging, so I would assume that that's probably what it was. And so I kept trying to push with each contraction, and I just wasn't making any progress. And so they suggested I get out of the pool, and I reluctantly got out. I did not want to leave that water because it just felt so good and it helped relieve some of the pain. So I got out, and I was extremely hot, and then I was extremely cold, and couldn't quit shaking. And I got the bed prepared, and I laid down, and honestly, I was expecting for the pushing part to go quickly because my mom and my sister both had talked about how easy it was, or how quick it was to push, and how it felt so good to finally push. And they had their babies within 3 or 4 pushes, like 30 minutes. And so after 3 or 4 pushes, I'm like, do you see her head? And they're like, no, we don't see her head. And I started getting really frustrated at that time because I was so tired. Hadn't had hardly any sleep, and I just didn't feel like I was making any progress. And Debbie, the midwife, said that as I would push, she could see the head, but then her head would kind of like go back up. And she was like, you're going to have to give me some really hard pushes. And I was really discouraged at this time. I was exhausted, and I started screaming during each push, and I felt like that was like the only way I was getting enough energy to push this baby out. So I got a few good pushes in, and she was like, yes, that's a great push. And I was so happy to have my mom and my best friend there to kind of help coach me as well. They were kind of like, let's go, you can do this, you can do this. It kind of felt like I had a team there. And then, of course, my husband was up there just, holding me. And I don't know if I squeezed him or not, but he was just at my head, and he was like, you can do this, babe, you can do this. And towards the end, I ended up having to really grab hold of my legs and put every effort that I could. I was still screaming, and I'm surprised I didn't wake up the neighbors. But we started making some progress, and we could see her head, and they were like, she has a head full of hair. And I was just like, I just want this to be over. I'm so tired. And so finally, I was able to push her head out, and they said that the cord was wrapped around her neck one time, and Debbie quickly pulled the cord off, and her head was out, and then it was one more push, and her body was out, and Debbie said, reach down here and pull out your baby. And so I reached down, and I pulled her out and just brought her up to my chest, and it was so sweet. She's so sweet. And I was immediately saying, I'll never do this again. We'll adopt. Why did I do this? And I was just, the worst part was pushing for me. I guess it's different for every woman, but I guess because it took me an hour and a half to push her out, and she actually came brow first, and her head, so she was face up, brow first, so she was kind of coming out like this, and which made it very tough to push her out. She kept hitting my pubic bone every time I would push. So when she came out, she had a big bruise on her forehead, and it was swollen pretty bad, and she was okay, but it just made it rough for me to push her out. And her head was kind of sore for several hours after that. But once I held her in my arms, it was all worth it. I wasn't thinking that at the moment. Now I do. I was just glad that the pain was over. So then I delivered the placenta, which I was not looking forward to. My midwife was like, it doesn't have bones, so you don't have to, it's not going to be as bad as pushing a baby out. And I was just so tired. I didn't want to have to put any effort into anything else, and I knew I was still going to have to push with that. But once I delivered that, it really did feel so much better to just have that out, and kind of felt like I had taken some more weight off. My midwife got a bath prepared for me and put an herbal mixture in there, and me and Selah were allowed to get in there together and just kind of soak, which was supposed to help heal faster and keep the bleeding from going too much. And let's see what else. So after I got out of the herbal bath, she wanted to check to make sure that any tears or anything didn't need stitches. So I was terrified. I was like, okay, come on, I just went through all this pain, I'm going to have to go through more pain. So she did have numbing medicine for that, but after checking me, she said, well, you have a little bit of a tear, but nothing that can't heal on its own, doesn't really need stitches. So I was so thankful that I didn't have to do that. And then she kind of went over some first 24-hour things that I needed to remember and keep an eye on, which is my bleeding and the baby and just some things like that. And then she cleaned everything up, and we got the baby dressed. I put on a t-shirt and we went to bed. I was exhausted. All in all, I would definitely do a home birth again just because of the after. I mean, the only part I really felt like I wanted an epidural for was the pushing part. And by that time, even if you're in the hospital, it's pretty much too late. You're not guaranteed it's going to work by then. So might as well just go ahead and get it over with. And I liked the recovery part. Being able to be in my own bed that night and not have nurses coming in and out and lights on and things beeping and stuff like that. It was just a lot more comfortable after that. So thank you for watching this video. If you have any questions about the home birth that I did, leave them in the comments below. I would love to answer any questions. And I'm hoping to make more videos like this about our life and being a mom and a wife. So if you want to see future videos, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I hope you guys have a great day.